Hi and welcome back to my channel Yarn at the Barn. My name is Manon and I'm a programmer, horsey girl and a knitter, and it's of course the knitting that we talk about on this channel. I have Archie here with me. He's hiding a little bit. He's a bit scruffy because it's like a really awful day here. It's dark, it's raining. It's around, what is it, 9 o'clock? 9 in fact, in the morning, and this is how dark it is outside. But yeah, this little one has just been for a walk. He didn't even do a very long walk, but he was very wet. He loves to be toweled down though, so I think it wasn't too bad in the end. But his back is still a bit wet, in fact. Basically need a dressing gown for my dog. But anyway, he's hiding here in the corner because it's nice and warm, and I'm sure he will get on my lap at some point, so you will see more of Archie in this video, I'm sure. For today, I told you last week that I was going to knit some mittens for my dad and I wanted to take you along. I've gotten absolutely nowhere with that. I have had a really busy weekend and a really busy week, and so none of that has happened. So I'm going to give myself a little bit more time to do it, because I could have done it today and like rushed through it, but I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to take a bit more time to film that the way I want to do it, and then I'll share that with you in probably 2 weeks. So that's the plan, at least. Although in 2 weeks we're going to be quite a bit along in February, and then I want to do a pattern roundup because there's already been some beautiful patterns released. Okay, I have no idea when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen at some point. Maybe there'll be 2 videos in 1 week. Who knows? We'll see. But so for today, I thought, okay, what can I do? And I am on a yarn buying ban because I was naughty last year and I spent way too much money, basically. And so I plan to yarn from stash. Great. I plan to knit from stash this year. And I have a lot of projects that I want to make. And I have most of the yarn for that in stash. So I thought I would, instead of doing like spring knitting plans, which might happen at some point. Anyway, we'll see if the plans change. But I want to take you through my sort of the make 9 for this year, the things I really want to knit. And I haven't really counted. I think I have 9 things I want to knit. I'm not 100% sure, so it might be a make X. We'll see. But take you through that. Also take you through the stash and the possibilities with what is in there. So without further ado, let's do that. So grab yourself a nice cup of something warm. I have Earl Grey and I pop a slice of orange in the teapot and it gives it a nice little flavour. And also grab your knitting or whatever craft projects you are working on at the moment, and let's dive in. I also got the little, what's it called, swatch basket here because I have swatched for some of my projects I want to talk to you about. So we can already look at what the swatch looks like instead of just the yarn and the pattern. So I just want to talk to you about the garments I want to make. I'm not including accessories because those are a lot faster. I mean, little sneak peek here, but this is how far I am with the Harris hood. Wait, how am I? Oh yeah, so it's on a very small cable and I need the needles for something else, but almost done. And I can't wait to wear this. It's going to be really cold here in the next few days, so I want to finish this one really fast so I can actually use it and not miss the timing again with the seasonal knits. That is like a quick aside. I'm sorry, that was a sneak peek for next week. That one will be finished. Little in between disclaimer. If you've been following me for some time, then you will know about most projects I'm going to talk about today, so this might be a little bit boring for you. I'm sorry. However, in the last few weeks, I gained a lot of new followers, I think because of my latest pattern roundup that got quite popular. thanks for watching it. If you did, by the way, that's great. But so if you're new here, then you might not know about what I plan to knit in the next year. So here we go. What we are going to start with is actually a finished object, which we've talked about already, but it's in here. So this was one of my plans that I had to finish this year, and I did like pretty much at the start of the year, like in January already. But this is my Orchid Bloom pullover, and I had cast this one on in September last year, and I really wanted to have this one finished this year, obviously, and really at the start of the year preferably. So there we go. That is the first one on the list for what I want to make this year, but it's already finished. So we're not going to talk about this one too much. I have talked about this one in probably an early January podcast when this one was just finished. So not going to go into further details, but that was the first one, and very successful one. Can definitely recommend the pattern. If you want more details, go check out the podcast episode about that one. I'll link it in the description and possibly put it on the screen if I remember when I'm editing this. Then we move on to current whips. There's two of them, and we're going to start with the Agnete Cardigan. This is a pattern by PetiteKnit, and I've had this one on the needles since May last year. And so my deadline for this one is May this year, because I don't want this on the needles for more than a year. So this is a brioche cardigan, and I've just gotten to the ribbing at the bottom. So where are my needles? Okay, no, I'm not losing any stitches. It's a cardigan, so it is separate here, but I'm in the middle of the row. I knit on this on public transport, and I must have gotten to the end station before finishing the row. I'm on the first row of ribbing at the bottom, so that is the good news. This is a bit of a labor of love. I would definitely recommend this pattern. It's very clear. It's quite extensive, to be honest. So if you're a beginner, I can't recommend this one. But if you've already knitted a garment or two, then you can definitely knit this one as well. It just takes forever because it's brioche, and it's not that I mind brioche in itself. It's not hard or anything. I'm scared of dropping a stitch because I don't know how to fix that in brioche. But it's very, very squishy. It's just that brioche is very slow. That is why it's hard. But yeah, so this one, really working on it and trying very hard not to cast on anything else so that I can keep some steam and finish this one hopefully in a month or two. Let's be honest, it's not going to be the fastest thing because, oh, and yarn wise, I'm using tin PetiteKnit from Sandnes Garn, so it's the thinner version, the not lace weight, the fingering weight version of PetiteKnit. So it's Norwegian wool and drops mohair. And I don't have a problem with drops mohair normally, but this batch of drops mohair sheds like crazy. I don't know if that's specific for this dye lot or if I got lucky with the other lots that I got earlier of other drops mohair. I have no idea, but it's I have red fluff everywhere as soon as I take that thing out. So yeah, that is fun. But so yeah, planning to keep on knitting this. So I really try to knit on this on public transport. I go to the office once a week. It's a very long commute, so I get quite a few hours to work on that, and then it's the only project that I take with me. Had a bit of a scare this week because I thought, damn it, I got to the ribbing and did I need needles in another size? But I didn't, thankfully, so fine. But yeah, slow, but it's going to be beautiful once it's finished. I would have loved to have it finished for this winter. Let's be honest, it's not going to be finished for this winter. It's going to take a little bit longer because brioche is very, very slow. And I don't want it as my only project. Then next whip, and then we move to stuff I've not casted on yet, so the maybe more interesting plans. and it's back here. Ooh, don't drop anything. Yeah, where are the needles? Here are the needles. Don't wake the beast. This is the spot regular, and I'm sorry, if you do follow my regular podcasts, then you know all about this, so this first part is quite boring, but I promise it's going to get a bit more interesting. It is supposed to be the other way around, and this is a jumper by, this is a pattern by Anna Ventzel. It's a unisex pattern, and I'm making this for my husband in size 5, so it's quite big. It's a lot more stitches than I would do for myself. It's color work, it's really, really beautiful, and yeah, I think he kind of wants this one to be finished, because the other day I was knitting on the Harris hood that I just showed you, and then he asked, like, why aren't you knitting on mine? Which I thought was kind of cute. So I put the Harris hood away and started knitting on this one that evening again. But yeah, making some progress on this. This is knitted with PetiteKnit in colorway Midnight and Urban Chic. It's just really nice wool. It's not as soft as merino, but it's very, very nice. And this is supposed to be this outdoor jumper, so it works perfectly for it. I'm not sure what else I can say about this, because I've talked about this one a lot in the podcast already. So not going to say too much. Just, yeah, this one I hope to finish in February. It's almost mid-February though, and I'm a bit scared because I need to do a lot more body. It needs to be quite long because man, long torso. So, and then I need to do 2 sleeves. But I mean, this one needs to be finished as soon as possible because it's a present for his birthday, which was last month. Going really well with the timing here. So yeah, that's it for the first 3 of the make line. So 1 is already finished, so that's nice. The 2 others are on the needles and not anywhere near finished, so that's going to be interesting. Then we move on to what I want to cast on next, and that is the Wintersoul Sweater by Adorable Knits. That's Dorothy Officiers. And I wasn't really planning on casting that one on, and I had different plans for yarn that I had ordered. I was basically wanting to knit a second spot sweater, but for myself. And then I talked about the Wintersoul in one of my pattern roundups, and something happened that happens regularly is I talk about it, I get very enthusiastic because, I mean, I only talk about patterns that I get excited about. And I got so excited that I decided to swap that plan, not do the spot regular, but do the Wintersoul instead. So I had to reorder a bit of yarn because it has quite a bit more positive ease. And the yarn for the color work was going to be like touch and go, whether I was going to be able to make it, because I want to alter the color work at the bottom of the sleeves and of the body a little bit. I really like the sort of top, what would you call it, top row of the color work with like the stripes and the little dots on top, and I want to mirror that at the bottom to make it a little bit longer, and definitely make the sleeves longer, because as you can see, I like long sleeves. By the way, this is the Highland Sweater by A&O Knits. This was a test knit, so the pattern was gifted. And this is knit in Gilead and Berenice from the Rerum Natura. And it's lovely, and I love it. And it gets a lot of compliments because of all the beautiful cables, which are really not hard. It's a great pattern. Can definitely recommend that one. But back to the Wintersoul Sweater. I need a bit of extra color work motif to make the sleeve longer, and then I might think about doing that for the body as well. I think I'll do the sleeves first before finishing the body, and then see how that looks, and if I want a longer body or not, and then add that on the body as well or not. Therefore, so that's the plan, and I had swatched for this. I first got, let me show you. So I got, this is the new yarn by Sandnes Garn. It's called Atlas, and if I'm not mistaken, this is 70% Norwegian wool, so same as PetiteKnit, but they've added 30% merino. And what I think, and what I've heard other people think as well, is for the people that find PetiteKnit just a little bit too itchy, that this would be their answer to that. I think it's a good idea. However, if you feel both of them, there's not that much different. This one is airier. I mean, this ball has been out for, I don't know, a couple of weeks out of its label, basically. And it's sort of blown up. Let me get both PetiteKnit next to this. You can see this one has really, I wouldn't say maybe bloomed, but it's sort of fluffed up a little bit. It's a bit more airy, squishy, and I'm hoping you will see that in the fabric. It will depend on what size needles you do it on as well, whether it retains that quality or not. But yeah, this feels, I thought this would have a bit more twist. It seems to have less twist than PetiteKnit. It's not a big difference, but a little bit. And I thought it would be just a little bit thinner. It looks a bit thicker than I thought it would when I ordered it, which is not too bad because that way it does fit for the Wintersoul. So that's good. And for the Spot Regular, it would maybe have been a little bit too thick. But so I swatched with just this one for the stockinette part of the sweater, and it got me this, which is a very nice light fabric, and that is lovely. However, so I'm wondering if this is going to achieve the softer feeling compared to PetiteKnit, because this doesn't feel that soft, and I have blocked this, so it has relaxed. So some yarns will suddenly feel a lot softer after blocking. It is soft. I mean, I'm not super sensitive to, my nails are dirty. I just showed you this, and so you've seen that I've not really cleaned them. I went to the stables late yesterday evening, and I did not take the time to clean my nails. So I'm sorry about that. Anyway, not as soft as I had thought it would be, considering a bit of merino in there. So I did want to try this with a mohair anyway, and that does create something very soft. This is paired with, oh, my nail looks really, really disgusting. I'm sorry. It's very, very dirty. Well, that's what horses will do to you. You'll give them like scratchies and everything, and then they will be disgusting. Your nails will be disgusting, not the horse. How do I show you this without showing you my nails? So this is much, much softer. This is with easier mohair, and this is the first time that I am using it, and I don't want anything else anymore. It's the softest thing in the world, the absolute softest mohair I have ever tried. It's definitely not the cheapest, but God, is it awesome. I can recommend this one. Budget-wise, I understand it's not the best, but if you can afford it, definitely go for it. You will not regret it. Because once I had made this second little swatch, I could not go back. It's just so soft that it's like, this is just what's going to happen. It's a bit, how should I say, denser. Hold them next to each other. Oh, maybe I should just go and clean my nails. This looks terrible. If I hold them next to each other, you can see that this one is a lot more dense than this one. It's I'm not sure if this is visible enough. It's also in drape. This one is, well, just moves a lot, and this one a lot less. So drape wise, with the mohair, it doesn't do the same thing. However, the Wintersoul sweater is a winter sweater. It's in the name. So I think this will still be lovely. It's still not too thick. My one little concern is that when you get to color work, of course, you get sort of the strands behind it, and this is quite heavy. So let me get the skeins of the yarn for the color work so I can show you. And I got a DK, so this is by Les Garçons, which is, they are hand dyers, and they also have a shop in Montreal in Canada. And this is from the Metropolis collection. This is Vancouver in DK, and this is Squamish in the silk mohair. And I first ordered the first batch of this, thinking of just using just this for the color work and this for a different project. And then I thought they would go great together. I like that this is a little bit darker. And so these, compared with the Atlas and the Easier mohair, gives you this. And let me see if you can, because of pairing the mohair together with the DK, you don't see the color difference as well as I would want. So that's a little bit of a meh. Yeah, that's not great, but I think it does look great color-wise. So still gonna do that. I might try a swatch, maybe without the mohair after all, just to see. I'm not 100% sure. I'm trying to finish the spot regular before casting this on. I really want to cast this one on, and there's a knit along going on at the moment until March, so I'm not going to have a lot of time left to cast mine on for that, but I will knit this. But yeah, I'm a little bit, because of how thick this gets, because of all the mohair that I pair it with, I'm just a little bit worried that it's going to be, the fabric's going to be too dense and the drape is not going to be quite what I want. So yeah, that is maybe something. What do you think? Maybe I should knit it without the mohair, and it should work gauge wise. I think I had to go down a needle size to knit this, but maybe I could knit it at with the correct needle and just do it without the mohair. And yes, it becomes a little bit less soft, but maybe that would be better. I'd love to hear your input on this, and then I'll re-knit a little swatch, because yes, this feels awesome, but will it work in a garment? For this pattern specifically, a pattern that needs a little bit of drape, I think. On the other hand, it is color work, so will it have much more drape without the mohair? Maybe to answer my own question, I just need to knit a swatch without the mohair, and then I'll know for sure. But yeah, anyway, that's the Wintersoul sweater that I really want to cast on. Then, after that one, or in fact, I should, before that one, I've promised my mum I would knit her something for her birthday. Wait, let me put this away first before I keep on talking. So I promised I would knit her something because she loves my champagne cardigan. Just lying over there, but I think you've seen the champagne cardigan by PetiteKnit enough times to know what it looks like. It has a lot of positive ease. It's very big in a very nice way, to be clear. But she has realized since that it's very big, it might not fit under a coat necessarily, and so she wanted something that was a bit big. So I've looked at other patterns, and some of you have suggested some, so thank you so much for that. However, the curse of the pattern roundup excitement has striked again, I think. I talked to you 2 weeks ago about the Grace Sweater by Wieseknit. It's a pattern that was created for the Easier Archives collection number 2. And it's gorgeous. It's absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. And I'd already gotten all the yarn to make a second champagne cardigan. But I do have yarn in stash that I could use to knit the Grace Sweater. So I've suggested it to my mum, but she's been a bit ill since. Nothing bad, but and so she's not answered me yet. So I'm going to call her later today because I kind of want an answer. And if she says yes, then first, it means I can knit in a round, and that would be awesome. Second, I'd love to knit that jumper, and it would be too bad that it would not be for me. But I'm going to knit her garment anyway, so it might as well be something I'm really, really excited about. So yeah, that is the current state of that. So that's going to be for the 5th garment out of the Make 9 for this year. That I'm not quite sure which one it's going to be, but it's going to be, I hope it's going to be the Grace Sweater, and otherwise it's going to be a rather simple cardigan. And I plan to knit it with drops mohair, and I have a ball of this here. This is Hobby Friends wool. It's a bit similar to PetiteKnit, I would say. Nothing very fancy, but it wears really well. This is what I use to knit my own champagne cardigan, and it's holding on really, really well. Nothing bad to say about this, apart from the fact that there's no certification on how this is produced and whether people are getting paid fairly, whether animals are treated fairly, and that is my only problem with this yarn, is I'd like to know that humans and animals are treated well in the production of this. But yeah, I've got quite a bit of this in stash, and then I also have the same but in a different color that I got because I wanted to knit a jumper for my husband in this when I just had started knitting, and I had no idea how much yarn I needed, so I think I got 18 balls of this, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I do have it in stash, and I think for the Grace Sweater that would look really good. And I think I would do the same color choices that Wieseknit did in her sample, so dark stripes on a white background. I had thought if it was for myself, I think I might do it the other way around, but I would stick, I think, to this if it was for my mum, because she tends to wear lighter garments than darker garments. So yeah, that is that possible plan. That is the one that might sort of change in the Make 9, because well, my mum has to say whether she wants it or not, and I've not heard from her yet, so to be continued. And then the next, there's 4 more left, and I don't have a particular order for the next ones, so let's just start with whatever is, do I want to say on top? No, I want to start with something else. And so this doesn't mean that this is going to be the order in which I'm going to cast them on, but it's the ones I'm very excited about now. So, more colour work coming. I want to knit the Porcelain Sweater. And yes, it's not a new pattern or anything, and everyone and their mum has knitted, but I absolutely love it. It's one of those sweaters that I saw as an absolute beginner, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant and beautiful, and I really wanted it, but I realized I could not do it just yet, and I'm happy I didn't, back then, because it would probably not have turned out that great. And now I do feel ready for it, and I really, really want to knit it. I got mostly the same colors as the samples, as the sample, which is kind of unusual for me. Most of the time, I like to change it around and do my own thing. This time, I think it's perfect the way it is, and so I'm only going to change a few things, basically the second thread. So I got PetiteKnit, which I can really recommend. It's great. So I can't remember which color it is, but it's the color that is recommended on the Ravelry page with for the sample. So that is for the main background base color, however you want to say it. And this one, I will definitely, it needs to be paired with a mohair, and it will definitely get the easier mohair, because I got twice the quantity that I ordered by accident, because at first the parcel didn't arrive, so I contacted the shop that I ordered it from and said, I'm sorry, it looks like the parcel is lost. Can you get in touch with the postal service to see where it is? But they were like, that is more hassle than it's worth, so we'll just send you your yarn again. And that second one arrived, but then a couple of days later, the first one arrived. So it wasn't lost. So I got in touch with them again and paid for the second quantity, because I will use this. There's no doubt in my mind. So these two will be paired together. This is the same color as the Wintersoul Sweater, so that will pair in the same sort of way. So you will get basically this color. It's just that the PetiteKnit is a lot thinner than the Atlas yarn, so it might look just a little bit different, but similar enough. So that is for the base color. And then for the what's it called, the contrast color, it's also PetiteKnit, but there we go. This is how you get that porcelain effect. And so that is the exact same one as in the sample, but I didn't want to pair it with a mohair. I wanted to be a bit more, the motif to be quite crisp, and so if I pair it with a mohair, there's going to be a little bit of halo fluff, and so you will lose the crispness. And therefore, I got an alpaca folgotrad, which is 100% alpaca, and it's just a very, very thin lace yarn that you use, or that you can use instead of a mohair. They're not exactly the same color, but I think this is great, because on lots of like so it's called the Porcelain Sweater, but it reminds me a lot of the Delft Blauw, we call it, so the Delft painting on porcelain, and it's always done in blue, and it's these darker blues, but then when it just washes out a little bit, you get more like this tone. And so I think that is going to be perfect. I've not knitted the swatch yet, because then I'm going to be very tempted to cast it on straight away, but I think this is going to be great. At least I can't wait to cast this one on. I'm really, really excited. But yeah, since this is slightly thinner yarn, it's like fingering weight, this is going to be a lighter jumper as well, so that's why I'm not prioritizing it just yet, because I think this is going to be quite nice to knit on in summer as well, or at least in the warmer seasons, whereas the Wintersoul is going to be very, very hot. And so having that on your lap when it's warm and knitting on it is not a great idea. So that's why I want to do that while it's still cold. And then this one I can do in the spring or summer or in autumn or whenever. But yes, really, 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 this is one of those things that's one of the reasons you get into knitting, and then you get to the point where you can knit it, and it's kind of a dream come true. This sounds a bit corny, but it is. So yeah, that is the one pattern I'm going to knit that everyone else is knitting, but who cares? It's great. Okay, closing that stash box again, because everything else is for the projects that we have already talked about. then, and by now, I realized that we've talked about 6 projects already. How much can I knit during my yarn ban? Well, not more than this. Let's be clear, probably not even all of this. So I'm going to get at the end of my yarn ban, which is, like I said, 6 months, no yarn buying. It's getting harder already. January was absolutely fine. Didn't even think about buying yarn. And then the other day, I started to get like itchy fingers and see beautiful yarn, and I have to not look at it online. But then on Instagram, some stuff comes around like newly released yarn or colors or whatever, and it's difficult. This is a really good exercise, to be honest. So it's very good, and I've also had to stop myself from just ordering other stuff. So there is a little bit of an addiction here, maybe, but I was like, oh, if I can't buy yarn, maybe I can buy buttons. And then I went on like this whole button search. Oh, really nice hand painted buttons or whatever. And I didn't order it. I do need buttons for the Agnete cardigan at some point. Not quite found what I want yet. I don't know if I want to go for just simple wooden ones or if I want something like a ceramic button that is very fancy. But it's bad. I realized that it's almost like a separate hobby, buying yarn or craft supplies or anything, and I know where it comes from. It's just that having all of that yarn means I could cast on lots of things whenever I want to. But I don't want to keep on buying yarn and it just sitting there and me not knitting it just because I don't have the time. I want to knit with it, to be clear, with all the yarn that I have. I just don't have time. I would need to make knitting my full-time job, and it obviously does not pay. So I could not also keep on living for a very long time. So that would be kind of problematic. Anyway, that is a whole different topic. We can talk about that some other time, more in depth, where that comes from, what to do about it. Am I the only one with this problem? I don't think so. But we're going to move on to the next 3 projects, which I also have yarn for. So do I need to buy more yarn? We are going to get into that, why I might this summer. So I need to get the bottom box to talk to you about that, because we're going to talk about summer knits, although all this other yarn is on top. So sorry, we're going to talk about one more before that. I want to knit the Esther Sweater by PetiteKnit, and I want to do that in some of the recommended yarn, which is Peer Gynt. Where's the name? There we go. Peer Gynt in matcha green. I think this was like last year's color, apart from butter yellow. So maybe it was sort of like a second place, because I feel butter yellow was really everywhere. I think it looked not great on a lot of people. So that's the not so great thing about trends. Matcha, I think, looks better on more people, or maybe it's just because I like matcha, the matcha green color, and I don't like the butter yellow color. So maybe this is just completely subjective. I don't know. But I want a jumper in this. I mean, I think this looks quite good on me, and I think this is quite close, at least in terms of tone. This is basically the same tone, it's just a different color. The way to see that is by taking a black and white photo of your yarn and, well, just a photo, put it in black and white, and then you see whether it's the same amount of lightness, basically, in the color or not. I can't go much lighter than this, otherwise it washes me out. Or it has to be like a warm beige, like this. Then this just about works, but it has to be paired with a mohair that is even more warm toned. Otherwise, if it gets too grey, then I look dead. Dead with a red nose, because for some reason my nose is always red. No, I'm not an alcoholist, but yeah, it's just what it is. And I got that from my dad. Thanks, Dad. Peer Gynt, which is the recommended main yarn for this. And then it recommends to do it with, I think the sun has gone, mohair, but I want a little bit more stitch definition because the Esther Sweater is all about texture and it's just pearls and knit stitches. So it's not a bigger cable like this that you're really going to see pop even if you do it with mohair. It's a bit more subtle, and so I wanted a mohair that was basically less fluffy. Enter La Mana Premia, if it focuses. There we go. And this is the colorway Kiwi, and it makes it just a little bit more luminous, I want to say, without being too different. And I think this is going to look absolutely awesome. I might end up looking like a kiwi wearing it. I don't care. I love kiwis, and kiwi used to be my nickname growing up. Don't ask about why. It's not because I was eating kiwis. But I really like it, and I think it will pair really great together. And because this is very soft, and this is still fluffy, but it's a lot less fluffy than most mohairs. If you want an extremely soft mohair, then Berenice by De Rerum Natura, so what I use in this one, is what you want to have, because Archie, it's very nice for you to go walk around, but not take the yarn with you, thank you. I think I was saying, if you want something very fluffy, Berenice is great because of the extra volume that the merino creates with the mohair. This is the opposite, and it's very, very soft. This is one of the only mohairs I could find where, in this color to be clear, where the yarn, if it is really dyed the same color as well. And where it's not, so it's a little bit lighter looks than the mohair, but it's still very much green and not white, which is a problem that I encounter even with some expensive mohairs. I think I looked at La Mana for doing another sweater. Oh, in fact, that yarn is upstairs. Crap. I have more projects. Yeah, so I had looked at this same yarn but paired with the La Mana Como, which we'll talk about in a bit. And I had found this beautiful, beautiful blue that I wanted to do it in. But the mohair and like the thread of silk was white. That's so annoying because I had sort of seen it online, and I remember thinking, if that is true, that it is white, then I don't want to pay, it's like 15 euros per ball, this, for basically a yarn that's not dyed properly, I want to say. And so I want to see the real life before buying it. And the silk thread was very much white on that color, and so I went for a different color because of that. So yeah, that wasn't awesome, but in this case it is. So if you want to pair these two together, rest assured this is dyed properly. Okay, putting this away now, because putting it back, but I want to talk to you about summer garments. And when Knitting for Olive did their big it was the fundraiser for children in Gaza, I got quite a bit of yarn, and I thought, let me get enough of it so that I can knit something nice in spring or summer, but have something that is a summer yarn. So I don't have a fixed plan for this yet, but I got pure silk in, I think this is petroleum, it says here deep petroleum blue. There we go. And it looks a bit grayish on the screen now, but there we go. This is, whenever it's like close to the camera, it gets a bit grayish, and this is a bit more the color that it is, so it's like more bluish than it looked closer to the screen. I'd like to make a t-shirt or something like that out of this. I've looked at, I think it's the Unati by Moreca Knit, but that uses a sport weight yarn, and so this would be too thin. And I think if I pair two of them together, first of all, I'm not going to have enough yarn, and second, I think it's going to be too thick for that pattern. That's a little bit annoying. So I need to find a fingering weight t-shirt, I guess, for this. I have heard that this yarn can hurt your hands because it's not very elastic. Of course, it's just silk, so it's not elastic at all, in fact. I just want something that I can wear when it's really hot that I've knitted myself. And the plan was to use this. I've not knitted with pure silk yet, so that's going to be one of the new things this year. Yeah, if you have a tried and trusted pattern for a t-shirt in fingering weight yarn, it doesn't need to be fancy, have lots of details, but I do want beautiful little finishes. That can be something that I add myself to the pattern, but if you have a pattern that fits well, that is nicely shaped, that would work for this yarn, I'm all ears, because I've not really been looking for it yet because it's not quite the right season yet, but I would prefer to knit it out of stash, and so use this. See, that would be awesome. Then the second summer yarn that I got. So yeah, I'm talking about this as if it's one of the Make 9, but I don't have the pattern yet. I just know I want to use this yarn or this one. And this is Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in Terracotta Rose. And I have knitted with this yarn, not this color, before. And it's very nice. It's really light and soft, and it does have, because it's not 100% cotton, it does have a little bit more elasticity, and so I got that with the fundraiser as well because it's a really nice yarn to use. I would kind of like to use, I only have 3 balls of this, so I'm a little bit more, this would be great for a t-shirt as well, but since I only have 3 balls and it's a while ago since I ordered this, so there's no way they still have the same batch or like dye lot. So either I ordered another yarn to go with this and I do something with stripes, or I saw Sophie's podcast, so that's the Knit Pearl girl, the other day, and she's working on a beautiful sort of like tank top, but that could also have buttons in the front, and it's very lacy and beautiful, and I think this would work really well. I think she's knitting it in pure silk, so I could also use this. But if the yardage works, then this would also be really awesome. So I'm not sure I'm going to use both of these this year. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe combine this with another color and then do something stripy. That would be nice. And then use this for Sophie's little camisole that she's creating at the moment. I would be interested in doing the test knit, maybe, because then it would be ready for summer. But on the other hand, the great thing about knitting is also then it's gonna last for years anyway, so I can also just knit it in summer, have something on the needles that is nice to knit in those temperatures, and then yeah, I don't get to wear it that summer, but whatever, it is what it is. So if I'm honest, if I do the plans that I want to do, I'm only going to use one of these, and so I'm only going to do one summer garment. Might do 2 if it's a really warm year, then I maybe will do 2, but I've got so many sweater projects that if I want to do all of this year, first of all, I have to crack on, but I don't know. So this is a bit of, I've only counted this as 1 because I've got my eye on that camisole that doesn't have a name yet. But we'll see. We'll see which yarn it will be, but I think that is a good contender. Another contender for this yarn is, or maybe this one. So I've knit the Hawai top by Agnete Cardigan. I have it here, I can quickly show it to you. And this was the bag that I took to my grandma and I showed her a couple of my knits. So that's why it's in there. But this is a beautiful little camisole. It only uses 3 balls of knitting for olive cotton merino, which is not, I think, the recommended yarn, but it's what I used, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I love this one so much. It looks so beautiful. Once again, this is one I knitted at the end of summer, so didn't actually get to wear it. But imagine this one in either of these. So I could make it in silk, then it's even lighter for those really hot days, and I would like to have a dark version of this. And I already have the pattern, so it's easy. But I think this one, the old rose, or it's terracotta rose, I think it's called terracotta rose, would also look great. So yeah, there's options. There's also, I really wanted to knit, what's it called? The Amy top by Mochi Knit. This is another one from a pattern roundup that I fell in love with, and I can't seem to let go. But once again, yarn-wise, it doesn't work exactly with these, which is really annoying. Otherwise, it would have gone straight onto the list of I will make that, because it has beautiful details, really, really beautiful details. And I would love to learn how she makes those. So I want to knit that pattern to learn, but I also want to knit from stash. So that is the thing that I alluded to before, is I might buy yarn that would work for that project. Or I might buy a few balls of cashmere to knit the Unati by Moreca Knit. So those two were my ideas. Oh, I'm going to knit with these yarns, I'm going to knit those patterns. And then I looked them up. They don't quite work for these yarns. So yeah, I'm guessing the Make 9 is supposed to be, this is exactly what I'm going to knit. And now we've spiraled into possible plans and stuff. So I'm sorry about that, but welcome to my world. So this was number 7. I've lost count. I mean, that's bad. But we have the one that's already finished, that's one. Then the 2 whips. Then there's a Wintersoul sweater, the Porcelain Sweater. I told you about the project for my mum, which is not quite defined yet. Then the Esther Sweater, and then the summer project, which is once again not defined. So we're at 8. Yeah, I've got 2 more. So this is a Make 10 instead of a Make 9. Let me get the yarn from upstairs, because that is also a possibility for casting on in spring if I have time. I mean, don't know how I'm going to do this. I'll be back in a minute. Well, in fact, because this is YouTube, I'll edit it out while I'm gone. So see you in a second. And someone is back. Somebody come here, up on the lap. Ah, don't step on the yarn. Terrible little mongrel. Okay, I'm back. Archie is back. We're gonna crack on about the last 2 projects of the Make 10. When I went to Munich last year, I wanted to have a look in person at the La Como yarns. We've just talked about that because of the possible color issues with the mohair. And I wanted to get La Como and La Premia, so the merino and the mohair, for, what is it called? It's been too long, I can't remember what the pattern is called. I wanted to knit the Ciro Sweater by Moreca Knit. Moreca Knit is a designer I've not knit from yet, but she's definitely on the list because I've heard really great things about her patterns, that there's beautiful little details in there that really make it perfect. So I really wanted to knit something from her, and also I wanted to try La Mana yarns, so it just came together perfectly. They're not very cheap, so this was my birthday present from my husband and parents. Sort of, they mixed a bit. And let me, before I continue, show you the color that I chose. So this is once again La Mana Prima, so the very thinner mohair, and La Mana Como is 100% merino, but it's spun in a way that it's extra light. So this ball is only 25 grams. Oh yeah, you would love balls, but you can't have this one, Archie. That could be interpreted in two ways, but I hope you don't. Anyway, this is, I think, ice blue, the colorway. Does it say anywhere? Oh, I don't see it anywhere. But I'm pretty sure, and if it's not, I'll put it on the screen, which one it is. Yeah, it just says what color. So I think, if I remember correctly, this is ice blue, but this is like a sort of a melange color. So you can see it's not exactly, it's not like a flat color where the yarn is the exact same color in every possible spot of it. But I like that. I think it gives it a bit more depth. And this is the ice blue mohair, so that is just the normal thing. And the silk thread looks a bit white, but it's, if it focuses, is it too close to the camera? There we go. It is light blue, though it doesn't really show it on the camera really well, I'm sorry. But in this colorway, it is dyed. It's not like 100%. Some of the thread is a bit more white, and in other parts a bit more blue. So yeah, not perfect, but it's good enough. And I think those two together are going to be beautiful. This is not a color that is in my wardrobe yet. It might be a little bit light. Yeah, I don't think it's the best ever color for me. I had looked at a darker grayer blue, I think basalt blue, and that was beautiful, but that's the one with the mohair where the thread, the silk thread, is just white. Also thought in using a very basic color, but that felt a little bit boring. And yes, that's a basic that you can always wear, so I did look at the sort of like beigeish, whitish version, but decided that was a bit too simple. So ended up going for this one. And now that I think about it again, and like maybe I should have gone for like a red thing, but then that is so in your face that that might be a bit too much. I do want to at some point, sorry, drifting again, but oh, don't fall off you. Where are you going? But I'd like to knit a very red, what's it called? Cashmere t-shirt. Possibly with long sleeves, we'll see. But yeah, this is for the Ciro Sweater. And because this is very light, so they have an entire like extra light or extra fine collection. I can't remember what it is. Does it say on here? No, it doesn't. But there's something about it that they have several yarns that are extra light, spun in such a way that you get half the weight of what you usually get for the meterage. It results in a sweater that is very nice and light. So that is also something that I think will be very nice to knit on in summer. This is going to be a purely stockinette project, so it's going to be very mindless, very, very nice and easy. Well, with some intricate details, but still. And because it's such an oversized sweater, I think it's extra important that it's very nice and light. So really happy with this choice. Looking forward to cast this on at some point this year. Possibly in spring. We'll see. Or in summer. I think this will be one that is not going to be bad to knit on in summer. And also, I was very good. Because this is the recommended yarn in the pattern, I did not overbuy. I trusted Moreca Knit with the yarn quantity, and it did not buy extra skeins. That's, I think, the first time I've done that for a pattern. So yeah, that's kind of good. Let's put this away, and then we'll move on to the last one. The last sweater that I really want to knit this year. And I've realized while thinking about all of this that I'm not going to knit any cardigans apart from maybe a cardigan for my mum. And I love wearing cardigans because it gives you the versatility of opening up. I prefer to knit sweaters, so the process is, to me, I prefer it because it's in the round. But to wear it, the piece that I've worn most is the cardigan that I knit this year, not the sweaters. So that is, do I knit for what I will enjoy wearing the most, or do I knit for what I enjoy knitting the most? For this year, it's going to be what I enjoy knitting the most, obviously. But in the future, I might have to rethink this. I don't know. Do you have the same thing? Which choice have you made? Let me know in the comments. I'm quite interested to know if this is something that other people have as well. I think so, but I don't know, of course. So let me know. And then, without further detours, I have multiple yarn options. So instead of getting them, I'm going to show you the little swatches that I made. I want to knit the Low Tide by Unwind Knitwear. I'm a big fan of her work. I think she makes beautiful patterns, and I've knitted a hat pattern from her before, very clearly written up as well, so it's easy to follow the pattern, and it's a beautiful result. So I saw the Low Tide and I fell in love, and I knew I wanted to have it. It's also simple enough that you can wear it for lots of different occasions, but it's got these nice little details of lace and a little cable. It's a different construction as well. It's a saddle shoulder construction. I've not done that before, so that is also one of the reasons why I want to knit this pattern. I have 4 possible color options because this was around the, what's it called, Knitting for Olive fundraiser, and I got lots of their merino and mohair because it's a lovely yarn to knit with, it's a lovely yarn to wear as well, and so I just got very basic tones that I know I will use at some point. But I think I've got two or three, I think I got 3 sweaters quantities. 2 or 3, 2.5 maybe, I don't know. I think I've got enough mohair to knit 3 sweaters and enough merino to knit 3 sweaters and enough mohair for 2, maybe it's 3. I can't remember. Anyway, I've got a box that I can show you. In fact, I've got a box full of it, and so I tried all of these little swatches. I'm really happy I did, because this way I get to pick what I want. And originally, when I did these swatches, I really liked this one. So this is the, I can't remember, wheat merino with, is this the right? Yeah, it is. With the dusty honey mohair. And so the dusty honey is, in this light, it doesn't, oh no, okay, when I look at it, it looks a bit less shiny than it does on screen. And on screen is what it looks like in not such a dark day as today. I really tried to put the lights on and everything so that this looks good, but yeah, this yarn looks a bit grayish, maybe because I'm holding it next to this jumper, which is like very golden. But yeah, this combination gives you this. And at first, I really like this, but the more I look at it, I find it a bit too golden, or I used to find it a bit too golden, and now when I compare it to this jumper, I'm like, this is fine, this is very bland. Not very bland, but you know, it's not as over the top as I thought it was at some point. So I'd sort of written, after first choosing this option, I had then, after a bit of time, written it off again, thinking this was a bit too much. Now I'm reconsidering, so this is not helpful at all. And the next option was this merino paired with, I think it's trench coat mohair. And it's a bit more brown, and that gives you this one. So it's just adding a little bit of depth to the merino. And I think this is a typical, some people call it boring just a beige. But this is a classic that's never going to go out of style. It's going to be beautiful with lots of different outfits. You can wear it with basically any other color. So this is a very easy option. Then there is the option of this merino pair, this mohair paired with the same color merino. So this is trench coat and trench coat, and you can see that the mohair is a bit lighter than the merino. Let me double check that I'm not telling you lies and that this is trench coat mohair. Yes, it is. Okay, good. I'm not lying to you. That's a good thing. And these two together create, once again, a very simple color. So yes, oh, this is just brown. Yes, it's just brown, and brown is kind of going to be it's been a very trendy color through autumn and winter, I feel, and I think it might keep on going this per se because it's on trend, because it's like a deeper brown that has been on trend. But this is once again a color that you can wear with anything else. A little bit less versatile than the beigeish one, but still, this is going to work with a lot of things. But I wonder if this is just a little bit too flat for the low tide. This is just lacking a little bit of oomph somehow. And in real life, this looks darker than it does on screen. Because on screen, this looks quite light. And it's a bit, I don't know, grayer, which you can see. No, the merino looks lighter as well on screen. There we go. This is a bit more what it looks like to me. Now it picks up the color better. And so, yes, this will make a really beautiful staple. But maybe what I would then prefer is to pair this with the Dusty Honey, which is this swatch. And it makes a much, much warmer light brown. And so at the moment, that's the two I'm hesitating between, is Dusty Honey with trench coat or Wheat with trench coat. They're quite different. And now I feel like Miranda Priestley telling you that the two blues are so different. And anyone who's not really into this would look at me like, the hell, they're just two beigeish browns. So what are you talking about? But we know these are different, don't we? So I've not quite made a choice about this. And once again, this is quite a light project. It would work really well for making this in autumn. I'm not in a rush to make this one. I do want to knit it. I have bought the pattern because I thought I would cast it on really quickly, and I haven't. But I really do want to cast this on. And I'll choose then what I want to. I think both will work really well. And it's going to be a very simple, classic jumper, sweater, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I think it's going to look beautiful. One thing I do want to do again is make a new swatch, because I have made a swatch with what I thought I was going to use, so the Dusty Honey with the, what's it called, with wheat. And I feel like it's not quite the right needle size. It looks a bit big. And I did this on, oh bloody hell, I used 3mm needles for this. Or is it, no, 3.5, there we go, that's why. So the way I know is I make little knots. So there's 3 knots here, so that's a 3mm needle. And if there's a knot in the top one, then it's 3.5. I might, to make this look nice, because this was on 3.5, yeah, this is 3.5 as well, but it does look really nice on this. It's just that in the lace, I don't know if I didn't read the pattern well enough, and you are supposed to size down for the lace or not. Probably not, because it's knit in the round, and then you would have, in the middle of your round, you would have to change needles, and that's going to be an absolute pain. And so probably you don't change, but then you get, okay, I would have to knit the lace a lot tighter, because this is just not as refined as this is. And this is like perfect. And this is not at all. So here we are. Have to figure something out with that. But that's why I wanted to re-knit this swatch. Also, maybe just to check for myself that I can knit this tighter and how it looks. Because at the moment, it's just not. From a distance, this looks a lot better, I have to say. Not quite in real life. Somehow on camera, this looks fine. And you really see the motif. But in real life, and I think up close, you can see what I mean. It's just not perfect enough. And this pattern does deserve perfection. So yeah, this is the one that I have the yarn for. I have the pattern, and basically I'm ready to go. I just need to choose a color. But I want to do another swatch just to know for sure. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the make 10, because I have way too much yarn. And this is why I don't really need to buy yarn. I really want to try dyeing yarn, but I need to buy yarn to be able to dye it. So that's a whole separate hobby though, isn't it? Yeah, I have enough yarn in stash to knit all year. I didn't want to impose a year yarn ban on myself because I would hate myself at some point for doing that. And because this is sort of public, can't really go back on it. Or I can, of course I can, but then why do we even have a yarn ban if I don't respect it? So I will allow myself to buy yarn over the summer if I want to make one of those patterns that I talked about for like a summer pattern. But for winter patterns, bloody hell, I have enough yarn to knit until the end of the year. So these are the 10 projects I would love to make. So there's a bit of uncertainty in there for which one it will be exactly in a few cases. Can I make these 10 projects in a year? Last year, I made 12 knitted items. 13 because I finished one just at the start of the year, but I did not keep track of when I started it, etc. So I'm not counting it. It was basically a Sophie scarf. I don't think we have to make that one count. But those had accessories as well in them, so there were not that many jumpers. So I probably can't knit. Well, I've got one already finished, 2 in process. It's half February. I've gotten faster at knitting. I knit English style, so it's not the fastest, but I don't want this hobby to be, it's not a competition, first of all. It's not about knitting fast. Yes, it's nice to finish stuff and be able to wear it, but the most important is enjoying the process as well. I mean, that is the hobby, and it's nice that we get something that we can wear out of it most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't work out. You don't really wear it, but putting that aside, if I'm being honest, I don't think I can knit all 10 of these. So I'm going to have to make a choice at some point. I don't know yet what it will be. So the nice thing is I have lots of options between which I can choose. The not nice thing is I keep doing these pattern roundups once a month, and I keep seeing really nice patterns that I want to knit. So what might happen is one of these gets switched around, but I do need to use this yarn. I want to use this yarn. So, yes, we'll see. We can recap. So I wanted to do this so that we can recap at the end of the year. What were my plans and what did I manage to make from these plans? If I use the yarn that we've talked about, then that's already a big win. It is not like set in stone that it has to be these patterns. It's patterns that I, at the moment, find really beautiful, really want to knit. If I don't knit them, it's not the end of the world. So it's fine. But right now, I would love to have those pieces. So yeah, before I keep on rambling on forever, and that can be a whole other video if you guys want to, but let's leave it at that for this week. So next week I will be back with just a regular knitting update, like every other week. You've sort of seen a sneak peek of how that is going. I don't think I will have a new cast on just yet. I think I will have finished the Harris hood, but I'm going to then try and focus on the pieces that I am working on now to really make some headway. So that is maybe a little bit boring, but then maybe we can continue this conversation then. And then the week after that, it's going to be time for a new pattern roundup because we'll get close to the end of February. So that is something to look forward to. And there's already some really beautiful ones. I can't wait. And I itch to cast some of those on as well, but I will try not to do it. So there we go. As always, thank you so much. If you're still here, I mean, congratulations. That is awesome. And also, I'm very thankful. It's lovely to have you here. If you've enjoyed this video, then of course you can give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, then and you enjoyed this, you want to see more of this, then you can subscribe. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. That is really great. And then I will see you next week. So have a lovely week or weekend, depending on when you see this. And of course, enjoy your knitting. Bye bye.